It is Monday. It is Vē Jano Alexander. And if you hear my voice, it is the Making Mogul Hour where you either win with us or you watch us with. Today, on the eve of my favorite month, of my favorite holiday, I'm sitting next to one of the most pioneer, most established, most culturally relevant people in cannabis today. If you've ever known anything about New York cannabis, you've probably heard of the brand happyMunkey, and I'm sitting next to none other than the amazing Ramon Reyes. So clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. And we got it right this time, okay? Listen. If you don't know, I am Vē Jano Alexander. I'm not even gonna tell you where to find me because I'm the only Vē Jano Alexander in the world. If you can't find me, you ain't looking hard enough. Plus, I made it easy. Both our names is right there on the screen. So again, if you're not finding me, you ain't looking hard enough. And so we're gonna get into this. This is an amazing conversation. We already done cooked up some stuff, and so we're really gonna get right back into this. We're gonna get into this with understanding what happyMunkey means to you and how did happyMunkey come about? Like what was the idea?
Happy Monkey basically was an idea to bring people together in a common space, no matter where you come from, no matter what your background is, and kind of like just, celebrate the plant that we all love, and I was able to kind of like cultivate that space with my partners, and that's basically what Happy Monkey means. That's how we started. Um, and that's what took us to the path here.
And that's beautiful. And because as we touched on a little bit, it was about making sure that you could step away from what was shown in the community at that point, and connect to what can be in the culture and the connection. That right there speaks on the essence of happyMunkey, because from happyMunkey's legacy days to its days right now, it's all about community, it's all about connection, and it's all about a culture that is facing the people,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I wanted to tap into that because as people don't know, because some people this might be their first time hearing about happyMunkey, it might be their first time being introduced, and so I wanted to make sure that people understood that you guys just aren't a fresh face coming into the industry. This is something that has been well thought out, been well processed, and has y'all have put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to earn your spot as where you guys stand in this industry, right? So I wanted to just tap on some of that blood, sweat, and tears because, as I said, you guys have been through a lot. You guys have faced a lot of adversity. You guys had your own speakeasy. Y'all went through y'all trouble with the law with that. Y'all have persevered. Y'all became advocates. You guys stepped into a space, especially at the time when you guys did, you know, and really wanted to understand how you guys were able to keep focused and keep the mindset of culture first while taking those risks. Like, how are you guys able to focus to be able to not get lost?
Well, just continuing to keep who your authentic self is, shouldn't be that hard. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? Like if you are who you are, you know what I mean? Like you can't change that. And all you could do is either grow and learn or just kind of stay stuck to like your favorite era or whatever the case may be, just
Mm-hmm.
um but yo, just continuing to kind of like evolve, right? So for us, it was all right. No more speakeasy, no more space. COVID, things didn't change. All right, cool. Let's do events where people wasn't even thinking about doing weed events, right? So, and kind of like, you know, walking across the gray line and making it, fucking epic. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because let's be fucking real. We did a bunch of events where people weren't even thinking about it. Now people are doing all these events, right? So being able to do an event across the street, Wall Street, being able to do an event, fucking a boat event, even way before it was legal, right? We did
Uh-huh.
a boat event way before that. We did it
I
straight.
was sad when I
That
missed that one.
that shit was crazy. Um, being able to do an event 2 nights in a row with the Van Gogh experience.
Uh-huh.
You know,
I
these
bro,
are
I
these
almost
are
cried
th-
when I missed that one. I was working.
these are things that that they did. cultivated those relationships, and we did it big, and we made cannabis a normal thing. You know what I'm saying? Because I think kind of people forget it, that they just look at it like as an event. But what it was is a collaboration with establishments that normally wouldn't be able to kind of like do that, right? So we able to kind of like to take this cannabis use into these spaces is to make these things normal, you know what I mean, before legalization, right? You know, we were able to fucking, even after, we were able to kind of like to do an event at the Museum of Sex, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we took weed into these fly places, right? People were still using it like sesh and their style, but the point is that nah, bro, I'm from New York, and we uptown, and we get money, and we like the fly shit. So you know, we were able to make sure that we just stuck to those roots no matter what we did.
That's beautiful. And I wanted to tap in because that's something that I don't want people to miss is the fact that you guys had that mission of making sure that people understood that cannabis was more than just a stigma, you know, that you guys were showing and showcasing that people in cannabis and people who use cannabis aren't just lazy, aren't just sitting around doing nothing.
No.
Because one of the things that, again, I will always reiterate, one of my favorite things about the community built around Happy Monkey is I could sit up there next to doctors, lawyers, rappers, janitors, and all walks of life, and we smoking and we blowing it down, and we not just getting high talking about, oh yeah, this is fire. Like, we are having inspiring conversations. We are networking. We building connections in community. Whether it be for profit or just for connection, you know, it helped cultivate not only your brand but helped us who stood around the Happy Monkey brand to learn from it, you know, and to be able to grow and take those things into our own. Because as I said, at that time it was very sesh based. You know, everybody was out there just trapping, 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 trapping. And seeing you guys step into a space of doing events for the culture and not just to sell a plant helped us as cannabis, as everybody else, step into that space where we're like, all right, we're gonna create experiences. You know, we're not just putting on events because we got people with weed to buy. We are putting on events so that people can experience cannabis in new lights, you know. And so as things transition from the legacy market and you guys saw that opportunity, as you guys are advocating, as you guys were making new waves, as you said, this is post-COVID now, coming out of COVID, and a lot of people were stubborn coming out of COVID, especially in the cannabis world, right? Everybody felt like they could just go back to doing what it could have done. And this is something I really do want to tap into right now, right? Is that key spot between like 2020 and like 2022, 2023, when the first dispensaries was opening, right? Because that's when we got legal, but there was no dispensaries, right? A lot of people were so, again, it started this crabs in a barrel mentality where everybody's coming out of COVID thinking they could go back to what they, oh, I could just, if I could just move back this way, I could do that, I could do this. When one, COVID created a space where so many people was getting stimulus checks and all of this stuff, and mad people was entering the weed industry. That I got extra money, now I'm gonna sell some weed too. I'm gonna do this. Created a lot of that. It created a lot of space where now, again, the sessions fell apart just because of the simple fact that people weren't smoking and passing joints anymore. People weren't going outside to sit and smoke around a bunch of people anymore. If it wasn't a reason to do that, if he wasn't giving people an experience around that, people weren't just going to sessions anymore. And then the people who had the voice, who had those platforms, again started infighting, thinking, all right, this is my block or this and that, not realizing again that this is New York City, this is New York State.
Yeah, it's a space for everybody.
This is where everybody's coming to try to compete to make it. And there's brands that is not just wishing for your spot, but praying on your spot, waiting for you to slip up so they could spend some dollars to take your spot. And that is the industry we're in now, right? That is the industry that has shifted. The culture has shifted. And so many people have so much opinions without validation. Opinions without validation. That's what I really want to say on the cannabis industry today, right? So many people feel, oh, dispensaries is this, or New York weed is that, oh, we didn't get nothing since '09 sour, this, that, and the third. And then when you ask them what they smoke or what they experience, they smoking the same five things from the same nigga who told them it's one thing, and they don't even know where it's coming from.
That shit is lemon cherry gelato.
Exactly. Or fucking platinum kush called in a different bag. And then they put, and then we now we live in a world where the pack is what sells, the pretty Mylar, the toy in the back. Like we got Happy Meal weed.
Yeah, that shit crazy.
We got Happy Meal weed, my guy. Like I didn't think as adults that's what we was gonna get, but that's what we got. And so, as somebody who's a leader in the culture, as somebody who's not gonna conform, how did you set happyMunkey apart? How did you set that integrity in the happyMunkey brand to be like, nah, we're not about to fall for these marketing tricks. We're not about to just spend our money on the best influencers and tell them come pop out. Like, how was it that you guys was able to stay authentic in the transition from the legacy to the legal?
We always go keep to ourselves because we old school New Yorkers. We don't bite. We don't mimic. We do what we do and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not going to like follow whatever the trend or whatever it is may be. But also we also business people, right? I follow whatever the customer want. I don't give a fuck about what's trending on TikTok because the customer show me something different. So I'm gonna always follow what the customer is leading to, and especially if I see something before everybody else is seeing. You know, I don't necessarily go follow. I'm just go approach the situation and have it before everybody else do, and that's it. That's what New York I'm used to. You know what I'm saying? I'm used to real competition and real like, you know, originality. Like, you know, I'm not here to fucking follow what the Happy Meal got. You know what I mean? I'd rather if it's that people want something extra, I'm gonna just give you some extra weed or extra, like out of like you're not coming to like coming to get toys like the customers I got. They grown. They ain't coming to spend they check money on a toy.
Exactly.
So you know, I'm gonna make sure that the customer's happy, and as long as the customer's happy, I don't really give a fuck what's going on with the trends. You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
So you know, especially in the market that I'm in right now, I'm not in the in the space and in the event market at the moment. I'm in the store dispensary market right now.
Retail.
And I'm listening to what the customer want, not what homie on the corner that even though he's popular on TikTok, you could go ask him to spend money on a fucking phone or a new phone or a phone bill or something. He ain't got that money. So I can't listen to you just because you popular on TikTok. I get it. I feel you. But, if you're not really, if you ain't got no fucking real concrete situation going on behind that popularity that you got, I can't really follow you, brother, especially if I can't follow your taste just because you say you smoke a lot of weed. I'm glad you smoke a lot of weed, but I've been smoking weed for such a, you know what I mean? So we can't talk about that. And, and I get it that you probably have a palate and you know about this and you know about that and you've been smoking and da. Great, that's cute. But the reality is of, especially a dispensary, people buy based on the practicality of life, not, because they want this like fire shit that they heard on TikTok. And mind you, some people will, they'll come and get their treat, right? Just like, I will, right? But I'm an old smoke. I guess at this point you would say I kind of saw, right? So I'm gonna go chase that fire ass weed that you can barely find somewhere, right? But that's just me. Then there's a very small percentage of me that's following that. That big strain that you can get. I don't know, $75 an eighth or some shit like that. Not everybody's doing that. That just don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? No matter how fire it is, no matter how great it is, not everybody's doing that, right? So that's its own different type of customer, its own different people, right? But at dispensary level, people just trying to get their smoke and go home, bro. They trying to get some safe weed from good people that they could come back and hold accountable if something's wrong, and that's what the dispensary basically does at this point. You know what I mean? The brands are the brands. You know what I mean? Just like the liquor store, the brands are the brands. I can't tell you much, and I can only inform you only on what the brands inform me, right? And the brands, a lot of the brands have been better, right? So I remember in the beginning it was a lot of garbage. You know what I mean? There's a lot of garbage, right? So now you got a lot of the dispensaries, a lot of the growers, a lot of this, they doing their thing now, right? So I'm happy to be a part of that beginning of that right there.
Okay, and I love that. I love that. Because now we're gonna get into the real cookies, right?
Mhm.
Because it is a whole different world, right? To step out from Happy Monkey, the speakeasy,
Mhm.
Happy Monkey, the event producers, Happy Monkey, the community coordinators, let's call them that, right? To Happy Monkey, the establishment retail operated dispensary owner, right? That is a whole different world, right? And this is why I love this conversation on the Making Moguls because it's about how you pivot, right? It's about how you take that next step and move your brand into a new space, right? And there's so much fluff around entering the legal market. There's
Mhm.
so much fluff because everybody has dreamed of opening a dispensary.
Mhm.
But then when you walk into the dispensaries and you start interacting with these people, it is not the same world that you would have expected,
Mhm.
right? It's not only is there the corporate, the government, the compliance side of things that you got to make sure that you're on top of, right? But there's also a whole different level of marketing. There's a whole different level of reaching your customer. There's a whole different level of accountability, as you said, because the point of a dispensary is to create that level of accountability, that level of
Mhm.
trust.
Mhm.
One of the things I love about Happy Monkey is Happy Monkey opened itself as a staple in its community. Like you started in Dykeman and then came
Yeah, one
down
hundred
into
percent.
into Brooklyn.
Mhm.
And even with your location in Brooklyn, everything was intentional in choosing where you are and where what you stand for in where you are. How is it that you were able to one identify those things and two prioritize those things without losing what it means to run a business?
So one, we already knew that things have changed and we moving into this legal market and there's people that believe in us and it's time to like go this route. So we knew, it was time to get, we were going for the licenses. So we knew, we're opening up stores. That's the route we taking, right? We could have took going a product route, but at the time the product was garbage.
Mm-hmm.
So it ain't make no sense to go the product route. So we like, we go get these licenses. Hopefully we get them. It wasn't as easy as people thought. You know what I mean? I think people thought we were supposed to be the first to get licenses and all sorts of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that shit did not happen that
Not at
way.
all, bro.
Not at all. We were just lucky to kind of like tough it out, and we got it at the very end. And it took us almost forever to open up a store. I think people got caught up in the green rush, not understanding that this shit is a business. And if you never sold a product before, forget about weed. But we were lucky to sell weed already. But if you ain't do these things, like it didn't make no sense to kind of go for a store, right? So I think people were kind of caught up in like, oh shit, yo, we just go sell weed because they thought they was go sell whatever they wanted, and
Uh-huh.
and it was gonna be like California or like these other states, and they because they basically doing what the fuck they want, because if I was able to kind of sell anybody's weed, then these dispensaries will be fucking flowing with money, like it'll be
Uh-huh.
ridiculous. But that's not how it went. But again, I think people who kind of chased this thought that they would go make millions and millions of dollars, but that's not how things go, bro.
That's not
Like
how any
that's
industry
not,
moves.
yeah. And then on top of that, they thought they were gonna make $1 million in a year, and it's
Mm.
like I don't know
Who
any
told you?
business. Yeah, I don't know any business. Fucking laundromat, H&M, whatever. I don't know that opens up within a year that you profit a
$1
million
million.
dollars. Like what the fuck? Like I think people were like bugging. Like people like, yo, we gonna make these millions, and I said, y'all gonna generate millions of
Millions.
dollars. You ain't gonna make a million. Like you are you kidding? Yeah, are you kidding me? Like I'm like, we know that this is what we want and this is what we do. And this is what we love, right? Because I love weed. So I knew at some point we gonna get involved. And the reality is we ain't growers. Like one of my partners used to grow. My oldest brother is a grower, but we weren't going into like a facility. So we was like,
Uh-huh.
yo, we just go open up these stores and make sure we get these consumption lounges because we was actually going for the
Consumption
consumption
round. That
because
makes
that's
sense.
because
That makes
that's what
sense.
we really like
Which
to
I,
do.
yeah,
You
I
know what I
know.
mean? But at the meantime, let's get these stores, and when the consumption licenses come out, we'll be ready, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's another thing. So that's really the thing, and we just kept it going because we know we was going legal, so there was no other way, right? And we entered the space. Being that now that we at the space, we treated it like a business. We went up to Dykeman because we obviously from uptown. I went to school to G Dubs. Like I'm a New Yorker. Like you can't like I think people want to claim they from New York, but I'm from New York, New York. You know what I'm saying? Like you could drop me anywhere in New York. I'm gonna get home as long as I see a subway. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't compare that. Like I can't make that shit up. You know what I mean? I went to G Dubs. I went to school in Harlem, Ice Room 36. That shit don't even exist no more. You know what I mean? Like I'm New York, New York. You can't make this shit up, right? So this was my thing. I'm like, yo, at some point we go take it uptown. We go open. We go make sure the coach is there, and whatever we go do culturally, we go be able to do it there. Dominicans. That's another thing. I didn't want the community of Dominicans, especially we went through so much, through the war on drugs, to be kind of like forgotten, right? When it comes to cannabis, so we made sure, yo, we was able to kind of locate Dykeman. We was like, yo, we go stay there because the shit is gonna go legal anyway. So we were able to make that pivot there, right? We stick to our roots, right? We do what we want, in Dominican days, whatever, bro. Like whatever people again, and then we also follow whatever the customers want. So we go do what we want. We go play some music. We go, hang out with the local crackhead that's chilling outside. You know what I mean? Give him a pre-roll if he need it. We hanging out. It's straight up New York. I think people kind of like get caught up in like this like becoming like corporate or whatever the case may be, but it ain't becoming corporate. Is bro, you're running a business. What the fuck is corporate about that? You just like I ain't reporting to a fucking corporate office right now. Like you know what I mean? Like I gotta argue with my partners, bro. Those are my homies. You know what I mean? Like so I'm not like reporting to some like
you're not
imaginary, imaginary somebody in the sky somewhere in a building office somewhere, like
sending us expense reports by 7 o'clock. Some bullshit,
right?
nope.
Like we running a business and we running it like how we running it, and we ain't necessarily listening to like people who are not doing this. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what I mean? I can't. I just can't do it. If you're not in the same sort of like business that I'm in, and like we not running in this like bro, we not in the same room, so I can't really listen to what
the hell you got to say, bro.
Yeah, bro.
That's a fact.
It's like I'm doing this thing, and we decided to do this thing, and we doing it. And that's it. You know what I mean? Whether it's wrong, right, whatever, that shit we determine that shit later.
And I love that. I love that because what a lot of people didn't understand going from legacy to legal is you're no longer a trapper.
No.
You are a business owner, and a business is run very differently than a trap.
Yeah.
You could see $1 million in your business. You could see, but I saw a quote the other day, and it really it struck home for me. When you're a business owner, no matter how much money comes in your business, you are no longer the owner of that money. You're the manager of that money. Yeah, you can see $1 million.
Sure.
But you're gonna have to pay out $1 million right away. And if you start feeling like a trapper, where you're just gonna stick it in your pocket and count it out later, the IRS gonna come. Everybody's gonna come for you, bro.
God. I don't even know what you think, but Uncle Sam is definitely coming, God. He coming for that money. I don't know what you think, bro. Like that's not how you do things. That's not how we gonna run things.
And so to see some people again with that delusion that we just gonna jump in this industry and we just gonna get rich, again, no. If you ever grew up in the music industry or understand music industry, what people tell you and how the story actually unfolds is two different things.
Two different things.
Everybody can get on here and tell you they done sold $1 million in weed and it sounds beautiful. They won't tell you how much they lost, what they had to re-up, what product was moldy, how much bank they done had to spend. This industry is a very difficult one to process, and if you're not taking the proper precautions and the proper understandings of where this industry is, where it was, and where it's moving, you will never survive, and you will never make a real legacy. Because the next thing I want to tap into, right, is the fact that your brand and you as a leader of this brand understand that it is incremental steps to leaving a legacy. You're not just building a business, you're leaving a legacy. happyMunkey has successfully, and it's very few brands I can say this about confidently, successfully transition from legacy to legal. There's people that are trying to transition. There's people that have license right now, but they don't know what the hell they're doing. And so, how were you? Was it just in you that you were just a business kind of person and like you were waiting to transition, or was it like a learning curve for you?
I think it's both, bro. I think it was both. I think we were learning the whole way. There was no way that we were just like we knew everything and like everything was on point, right? But we got basic math, bro. We got
Mm-hmm.
basic, winning and losing, and how
Mm-hmm.
much it takes to win, and how much it takes to invest. What part, it's just you gotta you gotta be teachable.
Mm-hmm.
You got to
Exactly.
learn along the way. You can't be, you can be mad, you can be emotional, you can do all these things, you go through the shits, right? But bro, you got to learn that you can't take the same approach that you would outside.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? And it's okay. You know what I mean? That's I guess the saying is code switch, right? You got to be
Mm-hmm.
able to code switch, right? You got to be able to learn the codes on both sides, right? So that's another thing. We were able to learn the codes, right? And again, we not young kids, right? My other partners are grown folks. They've been through businesses and own studios and own lounges and all these things, right? So that's the birthplace of Happy Monkey was Fight Club, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we know what it is. Like we know what it is to run something and kind of go through it and kind of like we were expecting not to win the first year of open. Like that don't make no
That don't
sense.
make
Like
no
we know
sense.
what it is. So I think people were getting into it not knowing. We knew some, we didn't know it all. We knew we,
Mm-hmm.
and then the things that we didn't know and we tripped over, of course we went through some sort of growing pains, right? We still go through growing pains because I think
Mm-hmm.
people get stuck on not growing up, bro. You still got a lot of growing to do, you know.
You're gonna be
Um,
growing your whole life. It's
you're gonna
either
be
you're
growing
growing
your
or
whole
you're
life.
dying. That's your
Exactly. There you go, right? So we there and we learning and you don't get mad at it. You learn and you fucking pivot. You win, fam. Like you figure this shit out. Like and you just keep going, bro. And I think that's the moment where people kind of quit when it's kind of like a little bit just uncomfortable for them, right?
mm-hmm.
And I see a lot of that going on. As soon as it gets uncomfortable for you, you kind of quit. But that's the moment where you kind of like, yo, fuck it, this is the uncomfortable part. Let me give it a little bit of time then. Let me put some time into that uncomfortable part. Everything else is comfortable. It's easy for me. I'll be
Mm-hmm.
right back.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of like take on the, to. And I'm sorry to be corny. Like I think people don't like to like do the work, and that you kind of
Mm-hmm.
gotta do the work. The shit is whack, and the shit is uncomfortable. You don't want to do it. It brings up subjects within. If you got good partners, it brings up some subjects that's gonna bring you and your partners to a fucked up situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta keep going, and bro, like if this is what you gonna do, you this is be or get the fuck out the way. You know
Or
what I'm
get
saying?
the
To be honest, go do something else.
go
You know what
do
I'm saying? Like,
something else,
and it's
bro.
okay to go do something else and pivot and go do something else, but don't get here because you don't like it and kind of want to be in everybody else's way. You know what I'm saying?
And that's a fact, bro. And that kind of taps into something we were talking about a little bit earlier in terms of people not understanding again what it takes, but also not understanding the moment, right? People came into this thinking, all right, I know how to move cannabis. If I just get a license, I can move cannabis legally. Cops gonna get off my back,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna make $1 million. But one, this is New York State. This is the place where everyone around the world wants to come here to make their dreams come true.
Mm-hmm.
So you are essentially competing with a spot, not from just everybody in your block, not from everybody in your borough, but from everyone around the world. And anyone who's really been in this cannabis industry really understands that because it wasn't just, oh, your man's and you applied for a license, so whoever get it first is what it is. We had people from other states coming back, being like, "Oh yeah, I'm from
Yeah.
New York. I'm from New York," even though they haven't been here in
Yeah.
25 years.
Yeah.
We had people from other places ready to be like, "Oh yeah, you from New York? I'll give you the money. I'll give you the money. Come. Let me just control the license." There was
Mm-hmm.
so much that people I feel like did not take into consideration, and I feel like the second part is there's people who, for us, this opportunity is a dream we've been waiting for for our whole lives. And there's other people that see it as an opportunity to make money. And if anybody understands about a business, especially while an industry is coming online, especially the way how the cannabis industry came online, there was no way it was possible to just be that easy. The federal government is still not on board with us.
No.
The state government
Wait.
play games in your face every fucking day. The advocacy and the funds and everything take advantage of the fact that we are in a gray market. So they want to bump things like rent up. They want to add add extra stipulations because they know you have limited options, right? And you got to learn how to move in a room full of sharks. And everybody thinks, oh, because I was on a street corner and I know, okay, I got to protect this block. It's not the same thing. It's easy to protect your block when your ops look in a very apparent, right? It's different when your ops is the tax man, the man down the block, and the investor who came in, but he's really not an investor. He's coming in to buy up your license and then dump you out the way.
But this is how you know niggas ain't really gangster, right? And this is what this we can talk really ghetto if you want.
Let's
right?
get
This
it.
how I know nigga motherfuckers ain't really gangster, right? Cause you ready and willing and able to kill somebody that look like you. But you ain't willing to stand up to the tax man, to the bank man, to the cop man. Like now that you in society, stand up and like get your money and now shit on them, bro. You was just shitting on everybody else for the last 20 something years and going through the war on drugs and killing a bunch of motherfuckers that look like you. And now that you're in a situation, you're in a space that you can kind of uplift a little bit. You know what I mean? You ain't doing it. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people kind of like they forget. We went through a lot of these things, right? And a lot of people kind of like want more, but bro, how much more you want from happyMunkey, brother? Like, bro, anybody who's anybody right now met a happyMunkey. Anybody who's anybody right now. From any you could say culture or you could say fucking OCM, bro. Anybody who's anybody, bro, met through our path, bro, and connected through our path and are stamped and approved through our path, one way or another, right? And it's like now that we all legal, I think it's awesome that everybody got their space and everybody got their way and everybody now got their platforms and created their event spaces and got dispensaries and got grows and all this other shit. But until we did all that, there was no people that was looking like us. There was no people that was creating space. There was no people doing events that looked like us. It was just us. It was just us in the rooms where there was no people looking like us, in those advocacy rooms, in those investment rooms where it was just us. It was just us in those conferences when we was going to fucking Vegas and shit like that, in the room for all people that don't look like us.
Not at
you know
all.
what I'm saying? So I think people kind of forget that it takes those movements, not only those big advocacy moves that we put on the platforms and all that shit. We was in rooms where y'all wasn't allowed in, and we was preaching and we was in our soapboxes there. That ain't changed. So when you say, yo, what y'all did to keep y'all to keep the culture alive, well, I kept my culture in those rooms too. You know what I'm saying? I ain't all of a sudden changed because I was in those rooms. Now I'm in the room. I ain't really code switched that much. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the room. I got Vlad. Vlad could go ahead and give you all the song and dance and all that shit, but not me, right? So we were able to be in those rooms and still be exactly who we are, and I think people kind of forget you can still be that gangster in the room. You just gotta talk people's language.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna, you know what I mean? I speak Spanish, baby. I ain't gonna walk in a room feeling where everybody speaks Spanish and talk to them in English. They ain't gonna get me,
They
right?
ain't gonna get it.
Right? So I gotta be able to change my language. So that's the whole thing. We were able to kind of mix. We knew we real New Yorkers. We did grow up with everybody. You did, eat with different people. You went to school with different it's easy for us to kind of mingle with everybody and anybody.
Because that's what New York bakes.
That's it. You know what I'm saying? And, I don't know, man. New York.
New York. And I love it because, as you said, I don't know if this stream caught it, but I will always give happyMunkey their flowers for our journey as Cannabis and me in general, because it was through your brand to seeing what you guys were able to do for you guys coming out to our first event and stepping out and being like, yo, I see what y'all doing. We support it. Helped us really understand and frame that we didn't have to go the route everybody was going. I didn't want to go the route everybody was going, but to see what you guys were doing helped me understand that there was a lane for us to create new spaces,
Absolutely.
create new avenues,
Absolutely.
and there was a niche. There's people that actually wanted it. You know what I mean? Because again, I don't like the fact that New Yorkers have become such, especially in the cannabis space, have become such trend following people. Like, I understand, I get that we can't always control what we see, but everybody keep crying about this '09 sour. Everybody keep crying about this '09 sour. Like there is not growers all across this state crossbreeding and creating fire new strains
100%.
that you guys literally will not go check out because Gumbo just dropped a new Gumbo pack. Because Cookies released another GSC cross. Like,
yeah. I remember when people were chasing all that stuff, man. I think now, you got this whole like spray
oh,
culture. And again, I'm never mad at people who create a lane,
mm-hmm.
right? I wouldn't smoke anything that's sprayed because I don't know
I don't know what the hell you're
right?
spraying it with.
So especially if I'm conscious of it, and if I'm smelling weed that doesn't smell like weed,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm just not smoking it, right? But there is a lane for that, right? And somebody created that lane. I'm
Mm-hmm.
never mad at somebody who creates a lane for themselves, right?
Yeah.
But and anybody who just go ahead and take it upon themselves to like do some shit that's gonna be epic, right? Because at the end of the day, it might not be epic for me and you, but it's epic for a young generation that can get to the dispensary, right? Because that's what I see. I don't see dudes in their 30s and their 40s going to buy spray packs, but I see the young kids going to
The
buy
young
spray
kids,
packs
they love
heavy,
that spray
right?
pack.
And they going and they chasing that, right? And if any of you young kids are chasing that and y'all see this, I want y'all to understand that that's not how weed is supposed to taste.
Yo. Okay, yo.
Weed is not supposed to taste like something that you get at Bath
Yo,
Body and Beyond.
yo,
Like
bro.
it's scented candles and bro, it's called terpenes, and terpenes belong to a plant and its strain, and not only just weed, it's just a part of plant nature,
Mm-hmm.
bro. So when somebody creates a strain, that shit is gonna have its own terpene, bro. That shit shouldn't be all of a sudden smell like cookie dough and ice cream or some shit like that.
And that's something that I'm glad you brought that up because that is something I've always like. I want to touch on not too much, but I really have to touch on because cannabis is a fucking plant.
Mm-hmm.
It is exactly that. It's supposed to smell planty. It's supposed to taste planty. And we have been so conditioned now, especially over this last 5, 7 years. I would say about 7 years, right? Because it was like right before COVID.
Yeah,
These things
yeah.
started moving. That the taste, like people started. I never forget the first time. Literally, right after I met you, the next event I went to, I didn't even. It wasn't even. I did the event. And the next event I went to, somebody had the Sour Patch Kid strain, and it was the first time. Again, I'm fresh.
Yep.
I'm smoking. I'm like, this smell like Sour Patch. This tastes like Sour Patch. And at first I'm like, oh, but then I'm like, wait, why does weed taste like candy? Candy don't even taste like candy. Candy's fake. This is not how real fruits, no watermelon tastes like this, no strawberry actually tastes like this. So why did I take a fake taste and add it to an organic thing that already had its own taste, right? And so to see the industry of develop again, I'm never mad. As you said, I'm never mad at whoever makes the lane for themselves. But I can't hold the community accountable for not educating the people on what's going on.
Yeah, why you want this though?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Because I can't blame the young kids for taking the spray
I'm not,
pack.
but I'm not mad at, for example, a sprinkles, right?
Mm-hmm.
They told you exactly who they were. Like it wasn't like
yeah, not that they lied about it.
You went and bought it anyway.
Uh-huh.
So, I ain't mad at the person who's chasing that. That's what you're chasing. That's on you. I'm good. I know that, like I said, every once in a while, I am a person who am gonna go chase something that probably the block don't got or the dispensary don't got, because I know, I've been around the block a couple times now that I know a couple things, and then this go be probably a grower or A shout out to the homies downtown at Astor Club, right? They always got something that I guarantee the rest of the city don't
Don't
got.
have.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna go chase that, bro. Like I'm not no like, I love whatever everybody else got, but I'm also a weed head at the end of the day,
Yeah.
right? So and again though, I'm 1% of the customer base that chases shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And ain't people, not many people chase that. People buy off practicality. You know what I mean? So it's not, yeah, man.
That's beautiful. And so now I got a question from online.
Get him. Let's go.
NLEETH, my guy, Niall, he asked, how do you plan to stay open and competitive in what's becoming a saturated market?
Mm. Um, well, it's business, right? And you gotta be okay with cutting some things that you might be excessively spending on, right? You might be able to you gotta cut down some shit. Listen, man, I got a lot of experience on opening and closing and reopening and all that other shit, right? So you gotta be okay with downsizing. You gotta be okay with just maybe the store. You gotta reshape the way it is. Um, the quality and products is what I'm looking forward to because the longer we are in the legal space, the longer the product gets better, right? So we are gonna get better product, and the prices are gonna compete with the trap, just like every other state. So I'm glad that process kind of took a little bit instead of it just going from the rip, because then we would have been like Cali selling peas
Yeah,
out the back door.
that's what I'm saying, bro.
So, that'll come, with time, and again, this is a brand new market, and I think people wanted the answers very quickly, and that's not the reality of it. You know what I mean? The shit is only 3 years old, and the dispensaries are only, a lot of dispensaries are only a year or
or
two old,
less,
right?
or
So
less.
it's like a lot of it is just still brand new. A lot of it is still happening. A lot of cultivators are still coming. And this is New York. The one thing is that we can't afford is, as long as this shit opens the doors to cultivators and more shit like that, we definitely gonna have money to hire all the best ones in the world.
That's a fact. And I wanna get into the nitty gritty of that real quick because, as you said, it's about making sure that your brand can last by cutting what needs to be cut, by making sure that you can position yourself for the long route, right? And as you said, a lot of people thought it was gonna be so simple, right? Which to me is crazy.
Yeah,
Because
how didn't you think you was gonna have to work, bro? Like I take a shift, yo, come see me every Tuesday. I'm downtown. I'm out at the store. Like I don't understand what people thought. Like you wasn't gonna work.
you know what it is. I feel like rappers and drug dealers, like, you know how they always cross, right? The paths always cross, and the rappers always rap like they're drug dealers, and the drug dealers always pretend to be rappers, and everybody thinks it's easy, right? Everybody thinks because that's what they're shown.
Yeah,
I could pick up a mic, I could sell some bricks,
yeah, and that's it.
and I'm rich now. I'm out here just flossing, and which to me it was crazy because this is New York cannabis. It was not. It never was and still isn't federally legal. Not only is it, the war on drugs is not over.
No, not really.
Yes, New York State is trying to do whatever it can.
Yeah.
But the war on drugs will never be over as long as there's people who stigmatize people that do drugs and have power over them. It's that simple.
Well, the numbers state exactly what you just said. We don't even got to make shit up. If you want to look up anything that's between now, we're not even talking about back in the days. We're talking the last 5 years. Who are the people still getting arrested on this war on drugs?
Exactly. Look who the people that's still sitting in prisons.
Yeah. So, we still here suffering.
And so to watch all of that, right? It as black and brown people, right? It really confused me as how people got into this market thinking anything was going to be easy, as if they've ever in any time in life let black and brown people into an industry and it was an easy industry.
Right, like here you go. Here's the money. Here's free money.
Here's free money. Here's the red carpet. We want you to sit at our. There's never been we watch segregation on TVs. They always show the videos of motherfuckers hosing you down so that they didn't want to sit you in the same restaurants that they were serving unseasoned food in.
That was recently. That was not
And that wasn't even that long ago.
200 years ago. Like that shit was like 50 years ago.
The people who was at those protests is still alive, telling their grandparents, right, their grandkids right now. Yeah, I didn't want no niggas in my shit. I'm not even gonna say excuse my language because that's literally what it was.
Word up.
So how were you expecting? And I guess my next question to that is, how were you able to not allow yourself to fall for that trap of the promise? Because so many people fell for the trap of the promise, like, oh, they're ready to. What was it?
The state was gonna give them money, and they was gonna get up. Man, listen, man, we knew we had to fucking pull up your sleeves and work. That wasn't like even like a thing. Like I'm like, you crazy. But our only option was that though for us. For other people, it was they jumped into this industry. For us, it was like this was our option. So we wasn't gonna change something all of a sudden. Now, like we going for this weed thing, we gonna make this shit happen, and that's it. Like I think other people caught up in their dream and like thought that they was gonna get millions of dollars, and not us. We was just happy to be legit and like fuck it, like this, we just go make this shit work. And the fact that there is promise that this shit might work faster than any other business, then cool. That's a super bonus. You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't expecting that shit to be fucking 6 months later.
Now you sitting in a Maserati.
Yeah, like, yo, you know what I mean? And even if I had Maserati money at that point, like, I don't think I'm over the whole,
the flashy money, that status.
You know what I mean? Because I think we kind of did that, bro. I don't want to downplay the shit, bro, but we kind of did a lot of that shit, bro. I did a bunch of vacations and a bunch of shit way before happyMunkey, bro. Like, I think people get caught up in, like, what we did as happyMunkey, but that whole shit cultivated because of all the shit that we did before happyMunkey. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't a little kid. I started in the shit, happyMunkey started in my 30s, bro. I was rocking in my 20s, and Vlad was, and my partners was. They were doing a whole bunch of other shit. Niggas were taking vacations and doing all sorts, like, bro, the shit that niggas is doing on Instagram now, we was doing that shit a while.
You
like,
can pull up your phone book.
Yeah, bro. Like, we was doing that shit, bro. So it's and on some regular shit, I was doing that shit with the mother of my kid. We was going all around the world. That's where fucking happyMunkey got sparked at that point. You know what I mean? I went to Amsterdam and we went to Europe, and this shit before happyMunkey, bro. Like, you can't make this shit up. Like, this is shit that we were already doing. Like, so of course, something like this was going to inspire us to do better. It's like, yo, that's it. It's either this or we go back to what we know. And honestly, everybody else that we know that's kind of stuck to that, like I said, dead, jail, deported, fucking, they need psychiatry, fucking, they in the fucking psych home. Like, niggas is addicts. Like, we went through shit, bro. Like, so we like, it's either that or we go move forward with this.
And I'm glad that y'all chose what y'all did, and I'm glad that y'all stand up the way I do, because this industry, as I said, there's a lot of faces. We see a lot of new faces every fucking day. There's always a new Bud Tender XP. There's always a new Flower Expo. Yeah. And there's always a new brand. There's always a new face. But not everybody's going to last. Not everybody's going to be able to withstand the real tide that comes with a growing industry.
Yeah, man. Because for us, this was what we going to do. I think everybody else, this is what they jumped into. For us, this is what we was going to do regardless. Like, I wasn't going to open up a construction business. I'm not going to Uber. I don't, that's what we was going to do, fam.
That's what you was going to do. So you already know what you was going to do. You know exactly the position you wanted to take. And now you're here actually putting in the real hours. And I'm glad that you said that, because one of the things you tapped on, and I got to look at the camera for this, you got to do the work.
Yeah, B, I'm cleaning the bathroom. What you talking about? Like, I'm like, what you mean you're not putting in the work in your store that you
It's yours, bro.
Yeah, like, are you kidding me? Like,
people think that, again, because they hear stories and they believe X, Y, and Z, that's how it's supposed to go. Just because somebody's story was that.
Yeah, my story gonna be different than yours, man. But I know I gotta put in the work. I don't know about you, but I know I gotta,
If I want it to last, I know I'm gonna put in the work.
Like, you could show up on Dykeman, you go bump into Vlad in the front. Like, there's no like we there. Like, we there every day. He's there every day. I'm in Brooklyn, so it's like I don't understand what people thought they were supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and everybody got a different formula, and shout out to everybody that did withstand. You know, shout out to all the dispensaries that's right now standing up, right? Because a lot of them had to go through a program, a lot of them had to go through some bullshit. A lot of them had to find some sort of funding. A lot of them had to find some sort of like space that'll let them move in. Like, you know, all these dispensaries right now, you know, you gotta show them love and you gotta show them respect because they went through a lot. You know what I mean? And I would hope that, and I did, and I think a lot of us did go into hoping that the state would help a little bit more, and that this and that, you know. But I also give in consideration, I'm an adult. I understand that this organization, as far as like a state, you know, back in cannabis, is new too. They don't know it all. They can't know it all. It's impossible. How dumb would I be to hold people that have no, you know, that just got into the weed industry themselves to know everything? That's impossible. Like y'all had to collab with us in the beginning when they started making the laws, and we started fighting for the MRTA and all that shit. Y'all had to collab with the culture because y'all didn't really know what was going on.
What was going on?
And that's okay to do though, right? And I think that's where people get mistaken and egos get in the way and governments get in the way because they're like the government, they're supposed to be perfect. No, if you take a different approach and you kind of add the culture and add the dispensary owners, add the growers, add these people got real issues and real problems that need to be solved. And if you can help in that way, then the culture can be helped that way, right? Because you already did your job by adding all these dispensary owners that are from the culture there. That's it. You gave them the position, but now give them a little bit of strength to kind of add to their culture, add to their community, you know? So I think that's kind of like the part that I think, you know, we kind of all like, you know, messed up that now that we're legalization right now. We kind of like we messed up the bridge. Like there's no real bridge now. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard for like people to kind of like collaborate and communicate in a way where it's productive. You know what I'm saying? Because that's it. This is a business, and I hope and I hope people don't get offended. You know, the advocacy part is kind of over in New York. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you advocating for? You know, at this point, so it's kind of like, yo, it's legal. Where do you want the legal path to go from here now? You know what I'm saying? And not only that, you can't be selfish that you want it to be this way. It got to be productive for everybody. It can't just be you and your crew or whatever it is, right? So we always go fight for whatever is like the general purpose of it, right? And I hope people don't get caught up in whatever their feelings are and whatever they want, you know, and that's what we always did. We never kind of like just fought for whatever we want and we want. We just whatever the general purpose and whatever's going to take us there. And again, we weren't the first to get our licenses. And again, a lot of people thought we should have been the first to get licenses, and we were kind of like always at the end and had to go through a whole bunch of shit. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. And we are here, and I think we just go move forward, bro. Ain't no stopping. That's it.
That's a fact. And I'm glad you said that because I want to, so people can understand. So I'm not giving out no fluffs, right? I want people to really get a picture of what it really takes to run a dispensary in New York, right? Because the first things first is you have to find a location, right? The state doesn't let you do nothing without a location because your license is tied to the location, right?
The location, on top of that, the location has to be a certain amount, like, you know, a certain amount of feet away from another dispensary, a certain amount of feet away from schools,
churches,
house of worships, right? So a house of worships is more general because it's not just more churches, you know, if it's a mosque, if it's
synagogue,
whatever,
anything,
right? Whatever, right? So house of worship. So, and then on top of that, New York City, for some reason, New York State, you know, they wanted people to move into places where the landlords don't necessarily owe the bank, but that's pretty much rare in New York City.
Yeah, everybody's
owned. You know, you're owned by the bank when you own property in New York City. You know what I'm saying? So you always gonna owe the bank, like you owe them money every month. Like I don't understand. You know what I'm saying? So they kind of made it very difficult. You know what I mean? Especially for the card program, it was like you wanted people to be felons, but you also wanted them to know how to run businesses.
They had to have established businesses.
It's like I'm like, fam, if you were selling weed the whole time and I'm a felon, I didn't give two fucks about running a fucking laundromat for 2 years. Like, what are you talking to me about?
Yeah,
right. So
you're talking to the wrong people.
So they made it a little weird when it came to getting the license. So that's why I tell you, and I respect anybody who do got the license and went for theirs, right? Because if they was anything like me, Vlad, and the rest of us, like y'all went through some shit and y'all went through some hoops and y'all did what y'all had to do when y'all got those licenses. So I respect anybody who got it. You know what I'm saying? No matter who you are, you got it. You did what you had to do, and now you got your dispensary, and now you know you supporting the local growers from New York State. Shout out to them. You know what I mean? Because that's another thing, they had to do a bunch of bullshit from the state as well, right? I wish the growers had way much more, freedom and like being able to give us real product and real quality shit sooner. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It is what it is.
It was a nasty, it was a nasty work. And that 2023, 2024 space on them growers was just, bro, the growers was dead ass growing good shit, and that shit had to go to waste because it couldn't go nowhere. And it was sad. But with that being said, you was able to maneuver. You got to maneuver with greedy landlords because they know that the position y'all are in.
The green tax.
The green tax, the mean green tax. You got to deal with people who again prey on the industry because they know one of the biggest things that I always will point out is there is no federal backing for your money as a dispensary. There's no, you guys cannot put your money in federal banks. You have to use something that is, unless you like again playing numbers and moving things to accounts and shit.
You gotta be clever.
You got to know what you're doing because again, it's not federally authorized, so federal banks cannot touch your money. So you got to either use state banks or credit unions or things like that.
Correct.
And they tax. They know. They again, anybody who knows that this industry is open and it's new and there is a need, they position themselves to tap in with that green tax. And you guys gotta operate.
America, baby.
That's America, baby. And you gotta operate between all of that while still serving the customer at a price point that makes sense. Right? And that is a difficult line to walk, right? Like, first of all, just on a math perspective, you got to be doing hoops and loops just to make numbers make sense. Then on a culture aspect, you got to meet people where they at. As you said, people who go to dispensaries, people who are shopping, especially the older crowd, is not here always trying to chase the next small batch. All right, they drop in 40 SKUs this month and that's it. Type of people.
They come in with a purpose. Bro.
They come in, exactly. They come in with again. Most of them already know what they smoke. Yeah. They know what they like. They'll try something new, maybe, but they know what they're going for. They know around what they get, and you gotta service that, give them what they want, while still giving new brands a chance, while still creating a market so that you don't look like the next person or sound like the next person. And it's a balancing act, right? That you have to then maneuver through. And so, with all of that you have to constantly balance, right? You guys constantly walking this tightrope. How do you make sure that your brand doesn't get caught up? Because as you said, like it takes a work, and a lot of people don't. A lot of people give up because they don't.
You gotta
embrace the work.
You gotta continue consistency. You gotta show up. You gotta have Vlad there at the front gate greeting everybody because he greets everybody the same, right? So these are the things that you gotta consistently have. You can't just play. One of my favorite things to see and to do is and this type of customer actually, right? Because this is different. This customer won't go to the trap no matter what, even if they're young and they're not or whatever, no matter what the age. If they're grown, they're over 21. This type of customer wants to come to the dispensary. The new jack. I love the person that doesn't really know much about weed. Because we can actually have a conversation because they're open to it. They're not, and most of them are like, they just want to try it. They ain't trying to get too high, or they're looking for this type of taste. So now we get to kind of like, describe what you want as a purpose, right? Instead of just kind of like, yo, I just want weed to get high. They want some sort of effect for a purpose, for a reason, and we're able to kind of cater to that person and kind of like guide them into their cannabis adventures.
I love that. No, I'm not gonna lie. That is one of my favorite things about cannabis.
Because new people, they don't know, And some of them are adults. How about this? Full-grown adults that probably their whole life haven't been smoking, and they're in their 50s and they're in their 60s, and they come in and they're like, "Yo, I used to see this my whole life. I probably tried it when I was a teen. I now want to get into this because I don't want to get into the meds that the doctors are giving me."
Uh-huh.
I love that
I
customer.
love that. Yo, not gonna lie. That is my favorite.
Love that customer because that customer is coming in with like a real problem. But they want to feel good, they want to function, but they're not trying to get into that, drug habit
Yep.
that the pharmaceuticals love to provide,
Mm-hmm. And I love that. I love that. I love that. We got a second question here coming from
Let's go.
Mathix made me do it.
This is on
Mathix made these
Instagram?
beats. Yep.
All right,
On
all right.
Instagram. He said, "How can one get a job at a dispensary?"
Well, it all depends, man. What kind of job you trying to get, and and are you sure that you want to work for a dispensary? Are you sure that you want to actually want to work with weed? You might want to work with the growers, not necessarily with the dispensaries.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're trying to work at a dispensary, if you're trying to butt tend, you're trying to manage, hopefully you got some sort of experience. Honestly, if you're anything like, if the other dispensaries are like us, you kind of just show up and talk to us, to be honest. Like, most owners are there, most owners are just working. You can show up and see if they actually need people, right? You know what I'm saying? Because to be honest, I think uh, I'm not a fan of kind of like using the same bartenders over and over and over from like different people. I like educating new bartenders and new people and new staff and new shit and bringing new people along with that. So I'm always open to like, you could come from a different background. You don't necessarily got to come from weed background.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're like, service, hospitality, retail, we can talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't even care if your resume's from the streets.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've done this before. Have you pitched weed before?
Mhm.
Have you had to, deal with money before?
Mhm.
All right, cool. You got some experience. Come holler at me.
That's
You
right.
know what I mean? But you got to know you in the legal world. You got to come with a phone. You got to have them with an email. You got to come, come with the basics. But just know, if you ready to go, I got you.
That's fact, and that's beautiful because a lot of people, especially with this new industry, people are just so. Again, it's not like there's pamphlets out there. Like, all right, it's not job hiring agencies. There's advocacies groups.
Yeah.
There's people like Goals. There's people like the Create program that But it's still new.
Yeah, it's product and there's information on it. You just got to learn about the product. And I get why people use and reuse the same bartenders all the time because they're already informed, right? But it's information. People can get
People
information
can learn
now,
information.
and you can learn information. You can teach people the brands. Actually, do some training.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like these are things that you can kind of pick up and learn as long as you know about retail and you know about service. Because it's weed, man. People walk in already knowing they already had a fucking long day. You can see it in their face, and they're just happy to get their weed and go home.
That's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact. The next question we got it from Zeus the photographer. He said, "What's the craziest first timer story you've heard?"
The first
Craziest first timer story. So
like,
I guess
first time, like, all right. So we had a podcast for a while.
Uh-huh.
happyMunkey podcast. We had the guests from, shout out to the Detroit. One of my favorite cities, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I've been to a lot of places. Detroit, one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was CJ and Will, right? They like comedians from Detroit, and one of them said that he got high for the first time, and he like wherever he was at, he like bursted out the house and kind of like ran, and he just kind of like ran down the block. He was so high, he tripped over a little girl's bike and took her bike and ran off with the bike. Like, he had this whole episode. I'm like, damn, my G, like, that was like, I think to me that's one of the first time of crazy stories that I've heard.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Like, he got paranoid and shit like that.
And started running. Yeah, I know that. I feel that.
So I was like, I ain't never been through none of that shit. But I'm like, all right, well, that was one of my funniest, craziest first time stoner stories I've heard.
Perfect. I don't think I've heard one. Mine was very similar to that, and I haven't heard many crazier than my own personal story because it was a whole epic adventure. I can't even go into it, but it started as a bet between me and my friend, which we was gonna do weed or shrooms, and we had a whole adventure, and we was bugging the hell out.
Weed or shrooms is
It's
crazy.
crazy. See what I mean?
Honest. And I'm like, that was what you had to choose. Like shit. I'm like,
and we decided to do the shrooms first. So that's to tell you how it was gonna go.
Yeah. Good luck, bro. Yo,
This is why I just smoke weed now. This is why I love weed, okay?
Yeah.
Because we started like that. I was like, okay, let's settle down, okay?
we can do little micros down here and there.
Look, a little something to something. But yeah, I learned real quick. And so the next question, because I want to make sure that we keep with the time. Where do you see happyMunkey going from here? Like, what is the move?
Oh man, I think it could be a lot of things, right? I'm hoping that that this brand can kind of grow into more industries, right? Not necessarily cannabis, fucking I don't know, let's say happyMunkey Oreo or something like that, right? We have a collaboration with fucking happyMunkey Adidas, a sneaker or something like that. Maybe like a real like some sort of cool ass, collaboration where, finally, the the federal world to start embracing us a little bit more, right? Because now it's time to move on, right? Maybe we have some sort of happyMunkey art world situation going on, right? Because we've always been a part of the art world.
Definitely.
We got a bunch of artists from all over the cannabis industry that's done pieces for us. You know what I mean? Even that, we started that in the industry as well, as far as like reaching it out into the world, right? So I just want to make sure that we kind of continue to kind of like, move on, you know what I mean? And, maybe let the younger crowd dictate what they want happyMunkey to be now, right?
Okay.
I can move on to a whole nother planet. Maybe it's a happyMunkey retreat somewhere in Bali or some shit like that. I don't know, right?
Okay.
But I think whatever's happening in New York, whatever's happening in the culture, I would love to, for us to kind of like support the next generation of happyMunkey.
I love that. I love that. I'm glad that we bringing it right back to where happyMunkey started, and that creating that space for other people to step in and to showcase who they are in cannabis. So
yeah, man, I would love to, fucking be, Johnny Appleseed and walk the earth barefooted for the rest of my life and let somebody else support and somebody else grow happyMunkey and, shit, let them do happyMunkey, what they feel happyMunkey
means to them,
and what their culture needs at the moment. You know what I'm saying?
I love that, and I definitely know that happyMunkey is gonna be around for a long, long time because you guys have put into the very DNA of the brand culture. You've put integrity, and you've put the ability to pivot and move forward into the very DNA of the brand.
Bro, and we put every experience on the front line, bro. I think people think that was easy, and then and we made it look good, so other people wanted to do it. But we put every step on the front line, and whether we lost or we gained, bro, we put everything on the front line, and we still here.
And you're still here, bro, and I love that. I love that. And so the way how we always end the show out is we like to talk about our small wins. So something this week that happened to you that's a small win. Because again, as you always say, everybody likes to see the big picture and think it's all easy because we make it look easy. But they don't understand all the little steps that we take every day, every week to make things happen. So what would you say is your small win for this week?
Okay. My small wins. I think most of my wins include my kid. So small win is um, we don't usually go like all right. We went clothes shopping a little bit. I had to buy some like basic stuff. I was like, let's walk in and get some sneakers, right? And my small win is that she chose our sneakers. Like we don't have matching stuff at all. So this was the first time she kind of like she kind of wanted to kind of match a little bit. So I was like, all right, cool. You're going to choose the sneakers. I'll buy whatever you want. I'll go buy them too. And for me, that's a small win to be able to kind of have the money to buy those sneakers and for her to kind of pick sneakers. And on top of that, she's a practical girl. So she was like, I just want these sneakers. And I was like, oh, Zuri, like, whatever you want, girl.
Whatever
like,
you want, man. I love to hear that.
So for me, the small win was just her and being able to have a moment because I think it's, Instagram and everything. We all show the polish, and it is one of the hardest things to do is to be a dad, right? To have a little little small win with her is always a good deal. You know what I mean?
I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. My small win, is sitting right next to me, to be honest. Because we've just been able. She's been helping me run Cannabis. She's been helping me bring everything to the forefront. And to see her step into her own, not just for my
Right,
brand, but to step
right.
into her own, to step into while creating what we got creating, creating her own avenue, be able to support that and be able to, watch her like
That's
step in and
dope.
own her own space in this industry,
Mm-hmm.
because again, it's hard. It's hard to when you introduce somebody to the industry to not have somebody just attach themselves to you or just have people just make associations. So to see her branch out and step out
Mm-hmm.
and be able to support her, that's been my small one, especially for this week. So
All right, shout out to you, man. That's dope. Nah, that's really good because it's hard to kind of have a brand and still stand on your own and kind of like be able to push both at the same time. And I think that's dope. I think a lot of people should take the approach in life, bro. You can build something while building yourself as well, and it not hinder each other. So
exactly, and I love that.
that's
And
dope.
again, the whole reason why I met this man is because I started a mission to support women in cannabis. That's why Cannabis was created. And again, to be able to do this in such a personal level, as well as such a, keep it
Mm-hmm.
with the whole community and to be able to step into that space, it's been a beautiful journey so far. It's been a headache, obviously, 'cause it's not easy. But we make it look easy. Everybody think as they show up and they got pretty women around, it's a nice life. But
Yeah.
y'all could either win with us or watch us win, baby. And
Mm.
I'm so happy. Thank you again for
Nah,
coming
of
out.
course, man. Thank you for having
Happy
me, bro. Of
Monkey.
course.
This is a beautiful thing. I hope y'all pop out to support all these dispensaries. Pop out in Dykeman. Come down on Fulton.
Yeah, man. Fulton and J Street, we're right there next to Raising Canes, next to JD's Sports, the sneaker speak. Yo, we there, man. We there. I'm there every Tuesday. If you really want to see me, I'm there every Tuesday. Come see me.
I'm telling you, tap in, support legal, support. My reason for telling y'all to support legal, and I'm gonna end this here because I really just want to let y'all know, it's because you get to know what the hell you get in. You get to know where it's coming from,
Mm.
and you can trust that no matter what happens, you can return back to that store
Mm-hmm.
with whatever experience, good or bad, and it will be treated properly. Because people forget that cannabis is a plant and plant is medicine. Yes, we can enjoy it and
Yeah,
get high and have fun all we
of
want,
course.
but it is also a plant that also has benefits to you. And when you have a patient focused approach that can alleviate problems, that can bring quality of life up, that is the specialty of cannabis. And that is why we do what we do, because this plant brings us together, and this plant is a healing of a nation that has tried to destroy us over that very same plant. And we stand here as pillars of a community that will not let that happen, but instead will turn that pain into success. So as I always say, you either win with us or you watch us win. Thank you. I hope y'all had a great time on this Monday. This is Making Moguls, Sir Vē Jano Alexander. I am here with Mr. Ramon Reyes.
Yes, sir.
Happy Monkey, and we sign.